What's up, everybody? Ben Rizzi here for Stokastic. PGA takes center stage. It's the Masters. The first major of the year is here. It's like Christmas. Couldn't be more excited. And DraftKings has crazy money up for grabs. So we are going to dive into the DFS streets. We're going to go first look style here. It's Monday, April 7th, Monday morning. So we've got some time before the tournament. We'll see how the wind develops, the weather, and all that stuff. But we've got salaries. We've got lineups to build. And that's what this is going to be. Just me diving into the lobby and just building. So it's a complete first look, kind of a stream of consciousness stream, and we'll see where we land. So I'm super excited. I want to welcome you to the channel here at Stokastic. All the DFS advice you're ever going to need, the tools to help you, all the strategies. Take a look around. Subscribe to this very channel. If you're not part, 100,000 of your friends already do it. But again, this is Augusta week. This is the Masters. What is there to say? You've been seeing the commercials run all year, it seems like. Let's get into it right away. So where do we start? Let's start, honestly, not even with the, we'll get into this, of course, but I do want to talk a little about the course, the venue, strategies, tips, tricks, blah, 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 before we start, actually building lineups here with Scheffler at the top. Now, one of the things that I always find, it's not interesting per se, but that is a little different about Augusta for people that maybe aren't super familiar with all of this. So with the majors, the Open Championship, the US Open, the PGA Championship, they are played at random courses. Now, some of the courses every 5 years or 10 years or whatever get theirs, but there is no, the US Open is played at Shinnecock every year. That's not how it works. The Masters every single year at Augusta. So the interesting thing about that is we do have sample sizes of 20 years for players. Obviously, players who in the last, you're playing every single year. And that's really fascinating because, you get to see something that's a little different than normal. We really don't have that at the other majors. We get it throughout the year at some of the other tournaments, but we have the ability to really dig in to how guys have played at the Masters historically. We get to see the conditions historically year after year. And certainly the course, like any course, has gone, there are some things that change on a yearly basis, but for general, we know kind of what we're dealing with at the Masters. It's pretty simple. It's serious greens. It's a long course. It can be tricky. You can also score at the same time. I mean, Scheffler, last year, he started out crazy hot, held on, all of that. But man, what kind of skill set can survive here? Obviously, we've seen over the years a lot of different types of hitters, but let's start really diving into things that we need to know. So, Augusta National, again, pretty long. You've got 4 par 5s to take advantage of. These par 3s are certainly ones, a couple of them that you really need to hold on. I'd say the short game is really what separates it. If you look at scrambling percentage, things like that, much lower around these greens. Everyone talks about the around the green play, being able to get up and down, whether it's on the par 5s or just get up and down on the long par 4s. And speaking of long par 4s, this course has a ton of them, particularly in that 450 to 500 yard range. You are seeing several holes play out to that. And that is, if you're not an aggressive driver of the ball, you're going to see, again, a lot of opportunities to be in that exact range. So that's something to keep in mind. Long irons have had, I think, when Hideki won, I think of that as him. Of course, you need to make putts. We know that you need to make putts everywhere. It's not exactly scientific. And, it's lightning fast greens. That's something that if you really want to get granular, you need to be able to really roll it on fast greens. That's just what we see. Most people, I do think, to keep it in the fairway, you club down. These are pretty wide fairways at times. You can be aggressive because, again, generous landing areas for some of these holes. The 3 putts, the bogey avoidance, things of that nature, if you're building out models, are things that I think are really important. So, again, these are first look thoughts. Last thing, I just want to talk about strategy. Skill set stacks. This is something that I think is pretty cool, and it's becoming more prevalent. I'm not saying I invented it at all, but I have been doing it for a little while. what I mean by that is grouping people by tee times. Everyone kind of knows that. But what about if you group them by some other correlated variable? Long iron players, you take a handful of them. Big drivers of the ball, you take a handful of them. Short hitters, crazy putters, great scramblers, live guys. There's all sorts of things. And it doesn't mean you need to take all 6, but if you put 4 of them together, 5 of them together, and that skill set or that whatever turns out to be a really big factor, why wouldn't you want to correlate it to the majority of the team? You would, because the goal is, of course, to get 6 through. It's the Masters. So again, the cut is quote unquote easier than a normal event because we don't have that many players. And if we scroll to the bottom, no disrespect to Olafable and Mike Weir and Freddie Couples and Noah Kent. Don't know who that is. Good for him. Angel Abrera, Hiroshi Tai. There's a lot of names down here that I don't think are going to get any ownership, nor should they. And they're probably all going to miss the cut for the most part. So let's get into this for a little bit. We will start at the top. Scheffler, Rory, Abear, Morikawa, and Rahm. So we've got 4 heavy hitters. And then you've got Rahm, who, of course, is a heavy hitter, but he's on live. So we don't see him as much. Like everyone in the world, I'm convinced Rory is going to win the Masters. I've been convinced of that for a decade, though. So let's be realistic. Scheffler ripped off a couple of them in recent years. And because of the dynamic pricing at 12.4, I think we're going to see pretty quickly that it's not that easy to build with Scheffler, and that 1,300 is going to make a difference. That 1,600 to Abear is going to make a difference. And certainly, if you go balanced, you're talking about over $2,000 of savings will be it. So I'm just going to click in some names just to illustrate this of how different it is when you start with Scheffler versus, and then we'll go balance with like a Xander. Not even really going to advocate thinking about who I'm putting in here. This is more to just illustrate it's not going to be that easy to, I mean, look at us. This is getting dicey to begin with. Like, okay, so we get 2 6s, 2 in the 7s, no one in the 9s with Scheffler. If you bump Scheffler here and you started with Xander, instantly you can get a 1-2 punch of like this. So you're taking one of your 6K players, making it another 9. You could also go super balanced this way if you wanted to attack, something like this, where now instead of 2 guys in the 6s, you have 4 guys in the 7s, and you still have plenty of money left over. You could bump up, someone like that. This is another type of build that we're going to get into. So to me, that's one of the big decision points. I think most people, and again, it's early on a Monday, ownership has not come out. It'll update certainly here at Stokastic, and I'm going to talk about, we have some sick things going on. And so does DraftKings. Rory, I would think, is going to be the highest owned player. He's $1,300 cheaper than Scheffler, playing amazing. What do we got here? We just saw this, obviously, the players. He won in the playoff. He was fine, and he was just doing good things. And there's the narrative. Don't think that doesn't matter, because it does. People want Rory to complete the career Grand Slam. I want him to complete it. So let's start building lineups here. Let's get into it. And then again, we'll talk about some of the cool things going on. I'm going to start with the Rory lineup. And again, there's going to be a million different ways to do this. But for me, I want to explore first, can we go Rory and a 9K? I mean, certainly we can, but how's it going to look? So like Rory Brooks and Neiman, but no. Rory Brooks, 73.75. So that means that one, we could pepper the 7s, we could punt, and then we can boost to the 8s. Let's see how the 7s look. So let's see. Couple here. Dustin Johnson, Straka, Igala. Okay, so that's pretty, to me, this is a pretty simple build. Rory at the top, favorite 9K option if you like someone like Brooks. Then you've got 2 low 7s, 2 mid 7s. The 2v2s that you can run just with these 7 guys is ridiculous. There's a million ways to do this. Obviously, this is 1 in the 6s, but even so, there's just so many ways to actually attack this. You could build 20 lineups just with this type of build. And I think a lot of these are going to be common builds, no doubt about it. So to me, the Rory 9K and then Pepper 4 in the mids is going to be really, really popular. Doesn't mean you need to be scared to do it. Doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean it's good. It's just, I think, a very common build. Rory 9K, see where you're at. Rory double 8K, let's say. It's about the same, I want to say, give or take. This is a similar build. We just kind of had this on the screen. And it's going to be, again, similar. So you've got Rory 2 in the 8s. And I know I haven't gotten into a ton of plays yet. I do like Cantlay this week. He had a horrible finish on Sunday. He missed so many putts last week. You see the 77 at Valero, 74. It's crazy conditions, crazy windy. He was playing really good golf before that. I'm not going to hold that against him. So you've got Rory, you've got Cantlay. Will Z, I think, is interesting. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with DJ, to be completely honest. Just examples of how you can build. Again, the 3v3s you could run here, you could do a lot. I think I kind of more would be in this range if I was going to build this lineup. I kind of like the look of that. But I think that's the second way to build Rory. Now, before we move to some things, let's get a little dangerous. Here we go. Step 1, can we do this? 66. I don't think you should do this for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think it's going to work. That would be step 1. 2, even if it does work, everyone that does this, there's not that many ways that you can do this. Your third guy is going to have to be in the 7s, and even that's going to be driving down the salary. So you're going to have a $3,500 gap. That's kind of absurd. I don't really like the look of that, and that's even generous. It might be closer to 4,000, to be honest. And then even if that worked, now you have to find 3 guys sub 65. I don't see the need to build like this. Also, I don't like this range at all. This simply wouldn't work for me. So you can try again to maybe pepper the top here of the it's still not going to be enough, honestly. You're still in the low. Yeah, this is a tough build. So that's a no for me. Rory and Scheffler. This is a little more feasible though. Rory and Abear, Morikawa, or Rahm. Gonna be tough, but more doable. 71. There we go. Pendrith, who I do like this week. I'm going to go with McPutts. Maybe he can roll it. 76. We're fine. We have a million choices here. If you want to get dangerous and go Fitzy, who I love the course for him. I don't love the form. He was terrible last week, and he has missed a couple straight. Again, I'm just looking. You got to dig deeper than this, but for simplistic purposes, I do think that he's worth at least considering. And now you've got dealer's choice in the 7s. I mean, you can go anywhere here. Patrick Reed, leave some money. You can certainly leave money. Straka, things like that. This is a much more easy build. This is a much more realistic build. You're still double dipping in the 6s, but again, this is easier to make cut. I'm okay with that. What I don't want to do is double dip in the low 6s. That's a little risky for me. But you're talking north of 65 and 67, 68 and 69, anything like that. That's fine to me. Obviously, you got to find the players that make sense. But Rory builds, if I had to organize them, to me, it's number 1, which I think is the most common, but it's also my favorite, is Rory and a 9K guy and work from there. Second would be Rory balanced. Rory plus probably 2 mid-8s and the rest. 3 would be Rory plus one of these 3. I haven't really thought about this, but I don't anticipate going something like this, like Rory with 5 7s. Again, the plays have to line up. The salaries are arbitrary. If you like the plays, that's great. I just don't think I want to have a big gap in the range from Bryson to Bobby Mack. There's a lot of good players in here, and I think there's some win equity kind of in this range right here. So for me, I want to try to capture that with a little of the Rory build. So to me, that's step one. Now let's think about the next type of build. We talked about Scheffler a little bit. We talked about the Rory builds, which I think is the most important. Let's go balanced as well. Before I do that, though, I have to mention right off the top, as you can see here, I'm in the, well, I'll scroll up and I'll showcase it. I am in the $10 lobby, massive contest, $1 million to first. You want to check this out over on DraftKings. And if you are thinking about playing, they are running an awesome thing. I'll give you the details right now. Listen up. All customers are eligible to play free for $1 million with a $10 deposit this week. Here are the terms. One per customer, a minimum of a $10 deposit required. The reward issued will be a single-use $10 ticket. Ticket reward is equivalent to site credit only and valid for use on the $10 Fantasy Golf Millionaire Contest. Ticket rewards have no cash value, are non-refundable, non-transferable, and non-withdrawable. Ticket expires April 10th at 7 a.m. Eastern. For terms, visit www.draftkings.com/promotions. Offer ends April 10th at 6:59 a.m. Eastern. If you do have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 877-8-HOPE-NY. You can also text HOPE-NY at 467-369. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Must be 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions applied. Void where prohibited. Max one per customer. Minimum $10 deposit required. One single-use $10 ticket rewarded. Ticket reward is site credit only, valid for use on the $10 Fantasy Golf Millionaire Contest. Ticket reward expires April 10th at 7 a.m. Eastern. For terms, visit www.draftkings.com/promotions. Offer ends April 10th at 6:59 a.m. Eastern. Sponsored by DraftKings. So again, as you can see, some really cool things in the industry right now. So we talked about Scheffler. We talked about Rory. You want to go balanced? Let's go balanced. Here we go. Okay, back at it. So you don't play them. These three, I think, are similar builds. And now let's start going 2 levels. So not only just clicking around, but bringing in some of the things I talked about at the beginning of the video. So maybe we'll go with some guys that I think can really dial it in. Morikawa. I'm going to go with Decky here. So this is a balanced, not balanced. It's still in one north of 10K, but more salary for the bottom because we've got Morikawa to Rory. It's only $600, but it does make a difference. You're going standard 9. I'm going to go Henley. So this is looking like a very, I don't know what the word is, maybe linear or granular, where you're having, 1,000 from Morikawa to Decky, 1,100 from Decky to Henley. Okay, 1,200 from Henley to Scott, and now obviously the drop will be less, but still, this is kind of a cool build to me. Spawn, and then you can go back up, last guy, something like this. What I like about this for the majority of these guys, good ball strikers, good iron players, long iron players. So not only does it fit salary-wise, if you're looking for this type of build, it fits skill set-wise. Now, it zeroes out if you're playing in a contest with 470,000 people. You might want to be cognizant to leave some money, but you go in small fields, 3 maxes, single entry, some of those things, maybe the higher dollar stuff, you can get away with more of that. But I like this type of build with Morikawa. Let's try another one. Let's go. We haven't really talked a lot about these live dudes. Not saying you have to go all live. I think that's just kind of stupid, to be honest. You're omitting way too many players, but I don't think it's crazy to have a couple of them in certain lineups, especially the guys that we know can really, Neiman's major resume is not good. So that's a hot topic of discussion, no doubt about it. But it's still a guy that I think a lot of people believe has some big finishes, in his future in majors. He's still very young, plenty of time, but it'd be nice. So Ramen Neiman, same build, and it's kind of the same build again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 7, or 7, 7 high sixes, something like that. These are easy builds if you omit Scheffler. The hardest builds this week is Scheffler. There's no doubt. Second hardest build, I think, is Rory plus another north of 10. These are going to build themselves. This is just, you take two up top and then you just mix and match in these areas. And again, I'm going to talk about before we get out of here. Don't be crazy. We've got the tools to help you do this. Single lineup sim, all the simulation tools, projections, ownership, all of that stuff. I'll showcase that. Again, this is more of a first look, though. I wanted to just have some fun and build some lineups. To be quite honest with you, I love doing this, even if they're lineups that I haven't submitted just yet. You get a feel for what's out there. You kind of get a feel for, whether you're building lineups by hand or you're going to just sim them. You get a feel for kind of how the structure may look out there, and I think that is really important. One more. Bear, who did not play well last week, but still, this guy, he showed, even in limited experience, and that's putting it mildly, that he can go right to Augusta and compete. And I don't think it's crazy to think that he could compete. Once again, here, we go with some guys that maybe are, who can really, really get it out there with the old driver. Where's like Cam Davis? Yeah, this is real dangerous. I don't particularly like Cam Davis, but if you're looking for those type of guys, scores, that's a lineup. That is a lineup. This screams 3 of 6. I don't know which ones, but there's some miscuts in here. But this is the type of like crazy upside lineups that I think you could look to roll. Then if you group by tee times, things like that, which I don't have that information just yet, also apparent. But the thing I wanted to illustrate, this has a slightly different wrinkle. Again, it's negligible, but you have 10-9, no one in the 8, so a $1,400 gap from Hovland to Finau, and then 78, 77, 75. So it's a condensed build in the mid sevens. And then you have one cheapie, which again, you have a million options to make this team work. You don't have to choose that guy. You could choose whoever you want right in here and be just fine. Benyon, I do kind of like Benyon. He'll be in the pool for me, in case you're wondering. So we've talked about Scheffler lineups. We've talked about Rory lineups. Talked about some of these. Let's try a couple more. And then again, I'm going to show you a couple things. And this is the first of many shows for us here at Stokastic. We're so excited for all the DraftKings contests. It's going to be a great week. If you have any questions, you can tweet me. My handle is on the screen. Happy to answer anything, no matter what it is. Double tens, but not Scheffler and Rory. Pretty simple build. You're going to still have to punt because you have two big names, and you're probably omitting the 9s. Maybe you could get away with this, but I don't love that build because I can't find 3 in the mid 6s. I'd say more people will go like this, and then have 1, 2, 3, give or take, like 2 6s, low to mid 7s, something like that. I don't hate this build at all. If you want to be different, I think the noticeable thing here, again, I just like to kind of look at the salaries. You have a $2,200 gap from Rahm to Cam Smith, but the interesting part is you also have a sizable gap from Cam Smith to the other 3. You're talking about upwards of 15, 14, and 900. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I want to be clear. It's not like you want to notice that because you are omitting large sections of the salary. Like you aren't omitting from Cam Smith. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 golfers in between him and Rahm. And those are good players. Those are guys with real win equity out there. When you look at their results, they can win this tournament. So you do want to be cognizant of that because I do think some of these builds don't balance what you need, which of course is 6 of 6, but also I think, of course, you need placement points. You need finishing position, and you need, particularly in a tournament of this size, you 100% are going to need the winner. And that's just step 1. So keep that in mind when you are building with these. Don't be afraid to leave some salary on the table. or things like that. Let's talk about the balance build. Before I do that, though, I do have to mention to you guys something you're going to be excited about. It's the Masters. We obviously had to offer some really cool stuff, and we certainly did. Not just for PGA. We went straight all access. $100 savings off any all access package. The link in the description has everything you need. You can see which one fits for you. But with everything going on right now, NBA playoffs are coming, NHL playoffs are coming, MMA is weekly, PGA, NASCAR, all that good stuff. Use the code ALL, ALL, all access baseball. There's so much going on. Again, link in the description, all the sports, great savings, great value. These tools, powerful, powerful stuff. So do yourself a favor and check that out. It's just an awesome thing. I'm very, very excited about it. Back to the builds. Come on now. We only got a couple minutes left, but back to the builds. Here we go. Now, to me, this is the other interesting build is if these 5 guys, and it's a big if, but if they don't win, there's a chance that they still could be, of course, optimal, particularly if how the salary allocates. But what if we say I'm going to take the risk that none of them have a super top end finish? Well, now if you start your tournament like this, you're able to really bolster your lineups. You're almost certainly going to get double nines. You could get triple nines. You could get 2 and 2 potentially. And let's start playing around with this. So like JT Brooks, Cantlay. This is the equivalent salary wise of basically 10K, 9K, 7K. And that's pretty interesting to me. This is a 3-man combatant that is really powerful. And then you still have plenty of money. 7,900 for Connors. We've got Sanjay, we've got Reed, we've got Burns. To me, my favorite play in this range, first look, I think is going to be Scott or Sergio. Those two, I like that look. Cam Young's going to be in the pool as well, which is scary. But you could go Cam Young. I don't know what to do with Fitzy. I have to look more into this. But again, this is the beauty of these type of lineups. And this all assumes Connors. If you go less, you'll have even more to go. You know, you could go like Straka Day. Same thing. Straka Day Sergio. I'm going to have some builds like this. I don't think this is going to survive because my guess is that one of the big names potentially, I'm not breaking any news, they're more likely to win than anyone else. But man, you can really do some things here. Let's try something like this. Yeah, this works fine. There's going to be a 3-3 concept here that you can do, which is 3 9s, 3 7s. I don't like Tom Kim. Yeah, something like this. If you wanted to mold it, maybe crafty short games. We'll kick out Hovland. No offense. And we can go. Who can? Yeah, like Brooks, Spieth. That obviously will work. Crazy. We'll go Spieth. Yeah, let's start molding this team into like some potential short game stuff. Again, you don't have to get crazy with it. That's interesting. That's the type of build that's very interesting to me. Again, not set in stone on that, this is the type of build that I think could work with some of these 3 9s, 3 7s, spike a winner, survive the top, hope that the mid range is uneventful. Sure, obviously other players are going to play well. That's just the nature of it. But you still have a lot of ways to edit this, and you can go into the 6s. That is something that I think is underutilized in general. A lot of people, they assume, okay, I'm playing the top guys, so I have to play the bottom guys. If I play balance, then I don't have to go to the bottom. That's true, but don't forget about that type of build. If you do that, you can build like hybrid balanced, which I think is like a very interesting concept. What I mean by that is like, check this out. 4-2. No sevens. That is a weird looking build. No sevens at all. Look at all these guys you're cutting out. Dangerous, absolutely. Different, absolutely. Even that, like, you can do a lot if you go double nine, double high eights, no sevens, 2 punt plays with the sixes. These are the type of builds that absolutely can make a difference this week. And when we get tee times, we get weather, we get all this other stuff. We take what we did here, start to consolidate it. I'm going to be, of course, running it through our ownership and our projections right off the Sims. Again, the code right here. Just put this up, but you get it one more time. Code is all, and then you can use it for all the sports as well. Link in the description. I think that we're already on pretty good track here. There's pretty soft pricing. It's a major, so I'm not surprised. But to me, this is the type of thing that I'm exploring, kind of with each guy at the top. How do we want to do it? And then what does it look like? What are the different options? Then we formulate the plays in the pool, put together some lineups, and then we root like hell. That's at least my strategy. Again, I hope this was helpful as a first look. We're going to be doing all sorts of things. Live before locks. I'm going to be doing a full breakdown with our data and ownership. So stay tuned. And again, any questions, hit me up. When you sign up with the code ALL, Discord, hop on in. Let's just have a fantastic week at Augusta. So friends, good luck. Great start to the week. I'll talk to you soon.